This video is a healing for the autoimmune system. I'm looking out into the field of the collective, and I'm seeing awareness falling into the center of the chest area, this big energy center, also known as the heart Mahamarma area of the body. It's the feeling center for the physiology. Here's the reasoning and logic and outward orientation center, and this is the feeling center for the body. And it is the location of the thymus, which is an organ that oversees, a gland which oversees the immune system. It's the administrator. Seeing karma in the chest area. Okay, so there are a lot of people to watch the video. So there are a lot of different scenarios that are opening simultaneously, but I will do my best to sort and present to everyone. First of all, it's mostly about feeling, obviously, and running the body like a useful tool or machine rather than that little shift over to the concept of running the body or treating the body like someone that you're lovingly caring for. Clearing also discordant feelings associated with, there's a feeling of like it's impossible, like there's no way I can ever actually run myself or run my life in a way like I'm caring for myself like I would a beloved child, because in my life is impossible. And you have to understand, this isn't just you. This is going back through, this is built up in layers. There's karma in the physiology. It's built up in layers over many lifetimes, many hundreds or thousands of years of just feeling like one is just pushing. And can't make that move, like there's a move that would relieve the pressure, would release the pressure. And in a lot of cases, it comes down to being able to speak your truth, which is vocal mechanism here and then thymus, like right there. So it's a very close relationship, and also very close to the heart, center of feeling. So really what I see happening is the communication between heart and means of expression. That relationship, it kind of goes through the immune administrator, the thymus. And so this is not just a story about immune function, it's also a story about feeling, finding its way to the surface in an appropriate manner, which supports life and it adds to the soul's progress towards its goal in the life. This part of the body is also the first area of processing experience. First area is senses of perception. This is outward experience from our world, right? First senses of perception, but with food, first senses of perception is the mouth. And then right here, this is like the initial part of the process. In the initial part of the process of dealing with situations which are progressively oriented, that means experiences that have the potential to support your ability to move forward in a powerful way, not just in a relative manner, but in an inwardly powerful as well, allowing you to expand the conscious capacity of your mind, the ability to deeply and richly experience your life so that you have a foundation for deeper wisdom and understanding, those kind of experiences. That there's this tendency, there's a habit. It's up in this area and it goes all the way up into the limbic system, all the way up into the center of the brain. So it doesn't pass through the prefrontal cortex area. It just goes up into the center, like feeling flight or fight response area, and then back again. So there's a communication going on between the feeling center of the body and then this inner area of the brain where feelings are processed. And in there, there's a habit. So the habit is clearing now. And the habit is the habit of being hard on oneself when an experience or situation is is presenting itself. When an experience is like that, that's challenging, that's difficult. For a lot of people, there's like a gut reaction of, well, this is happening to me because I deserved it. This is happening to me because I failed. This is happening because I was supposed to know something or learn something and I didn't learn it until now. And so now I'm having to learn it in this difficult way. So there's this little cycle that kind of turns immediately back on oneself and is like, oh, it's all because like I'm bad, basically. We don't be human unless we wanted to have the experience of learning new things. That's the nature of human existence, is to learn and grow in new areas. So now, impulse or flow of energy healing originating at the heart area. So the seed or the root of that habit was all the way down in the heart area. And so it's being extracted, like weeding your garden, it's being extracted from the root. This extraction of this habit is step one in forming the actions and responses to life's experience, which modifies the experience in such a way that it is less painful. It's understood, it's basic, that there are certain aspects of life which are unavoidable. We come to that old paradox of free will and determinism here. There are aspects of life which are unavoidable. We're going to have to go through certain things. If you're born, you will have to die. Right? If you go through puberty, you're going to have to go through puberty. Just certain things. If you go to school, you're going to have to wear clothes. It's just the way it is, man. You got to do what you got to do. But there are ways of modifying those unavoidable circumstances through both internal and external responses. But first through internal responses, because it's the internal response that the way we think about it, what we believe about it, the way we feel about it, that will determine the sort of words that we choose to meet that situation, the actions that we choose to meet that situation. So we're going on the inside to the inner structure. And when we clear this habit, the habit has been sitting in the physiology for centuries and centuries. Not that your physiology, this present physiology, is not centuries old, but when we're not in a human body, we're in other types of bodies. They're bodies of energy bodies and bodies of light and other human bodies and all kinds of different forms. The eternal soul takes many different forms. The etheric body. For autoimmune disease, the etheric body, I'm just understanding this right as I'm filming. The etheric body holds the imbalance. Oh, and something else too. If we look at the axis, if we use the axis from dense to subtle as one of the ways of navigating the ocean of consciousness, then we can say all being, all life, all forms, all physiologies evolve from the source of creation. But some physiologies evolve up to a very dense physical material level like human physiologies, and some physiologies only manifest up to some energetic structure. Sometimes in autoimmune, what happens is the condition of the heart produces energy frequency that attracts something like a parasite, bacteria or virus, like an infection of some sort, but an infection which does not manifest to the full material level. So as such, that infection, like if you get a cold, it can come, sometimes it can sit in the sinuses, or it can sit in the throat, or it can sit in the lungs. So it can happen that a subtle infection can sit somewhere in the body. And when it does, it makes that part of the body feel terrible. And it makes that part of the body cry out and send a message to the immune system: I'm sick, I need help, please send some histemic response. And then what happens is the immune system goes into the area where the infection is. It's like a subtle infection, and it attacks because that's what it's supposed to do. But the body of its enemy is not physical. And so what happens is the physical body gets attacked. I'm seeing it. So what we're doing is here, this is an upgrade. This part of the healing is an upgrade for the astral body. The astral body is your first line of defense against infections of all types and varieties, whether fully physically manifest or not. All invasive energies understand that we are comprised in layers from dense to subtle. They are also comprised in layers from dense to subtle. And your first line of defense is actually one of the subtler levels of the physiology, the astral body. So, discrimination. And it's interesting because the heart area is the feeling area, so the discrimination is being created or crafted from the feeling area of the physiology, and then it's being communicated through nadis to the, or channels, energy channels like meridians, but nadis run from the dense to subtle spectrum. It's being communicated to the astral body to upgrade the discriminating ability of the astral body to recognize the nature of the invader. And if the invader's physiology is not physical manifest, then to draw upon inner resources to eliminate that invader, and to eliminate it before it even enters the physiology, before it even enters, to eliminate it from the level of the astral body itself. If we look at the, that range from very dense to very subtle, astral body sits in the center about there. So it's already a subtle level of the body's immune system, basically. So right, what we're doing is it's an activation, and it's been so fascinating to me. This flower reminds me that we're coming up on 100-year anniversaries of all sorts of events from the past. And what I've noticed is that as we hit different anniversaries through time, we certain influences from those previous events tend to come up for reconsideration or for healing. So it's interesting that this healing right now involves, I'm only going to touch on it because it's not directly autoimmune, but it's autoimmune at a collective level. That around this time, 100 years ago, we were dealing with the First World War. So that's going to influence most people who are watching this video. And wars are essentially a kind of collective autoimmune effect or immune system dysfunction where humanity has curved onto its own nature and is attacking itself. So this healing is going to everyone who's watching this video, but it's also going through time. And it's also having the effect of bringing deeper discrimination. Hindsight is always 20/20, right? Bringing deeper discrimination and understanding into the events of 100 years ago in order to eliminate the darkness or negativity, any little threads of impressions or memory patterns from that period in history that, was the beginning of a great deal of suffering. It was a time of a great deal of suffering for our ancestors. So that's a blessing that goes into the ancestral level of the physiology, thus affecting DNA. So that means if the autoimmune illness or dysfunction has a genetic component, then this heals that as well. And I'm seeing it going back actually for 3-4 generations, 4 generations, affecting primarily the heart area. Healing for your ancestors and soothing their hearts. And that's being done. When I do these healings, I'm simply reporting what I'm seeing and experiencing in the collective of everyone who watches. I mean, I didn't think, beforehand, I'm going to talk about this, this, and this. No, I just did it. So I just want you to know, I'm just reporting what's happening. This healing ends as a great blessing for the ancestors and for all the habits and patterns that they may have cultivated in their lifetime of being hard on themselves or judgmental or having unreasonable expectations on themselves or expecting some definition of perfection when that wasn't really part of the story anyway. Just unconditionally loving them. And that helps to open up those areas of the DNA that have been closed up by morpho groups. You can Google morpho groups. Thank you, everyone, for being with me for this healing.